Happy Sunday, happy Easter! Easter's my favorite holiday. I absolutely love bunnies, in case you haven't noticed that. I made a new little layout for Easter today. Bottom left corner is a bunny from a friend, which is why that one looks good. Top right corner is my own Easter egg, which is why it looks bad. And conveniently, apparently the level we stopped on was World 15, which means that the background is Eastery colors as well. Nice, cheerful, springtimey things. So I'm excited to get into some runs, so let me make sure I'm in my splits. There we go. Let me get started in 3, 2, 1, go! Oh, that was kind of out of sync. Oops. Well, that's okay. I don't know, usually I would say like, oh, a few seconds in this run doesn't matter, it's so long, but world record and second place are literally 6 seconds apart right now, so every second I guess does matter. But that's okay. And good news, we're actually running the correct version of the game this week. So last week, I tried not to show it too much on stream, but pretty sure it came through. I was super frustrated. I felt like I couldn't play the game, and it was a weird feeling because I thought I was playing okay. Like when I was thinking about the mistakes I was making, yeah, I wasn't playing super cleanly, but my mistakes weren't adding up to the time loss I was seeing in my splits. And so I was feeling really down and really frustrated, thinking like, do I not have a good sense on this game right now? Like, am I just that much worse than I thought I was playing right now? Do I not know how to play this game? Like, this is kind of my game. This is the game I play. And it was just really frustrating because if you looked at the splits, I was constantly bleeding out time every single world. It wasn't until later last week, or I guess this week, depending on how you're counting weeks, that I realized it was because I was playing the wrong version of the game. So what I mean by that is not necessarily patch versions, but there's a digital and a virtual, or sorry, digital and a virtual, those mean the same thing. There's a digital and a physical version of this game, and my 3DS, I had left it on after doing something and forgotten to charge it, and it had died, which is fine, I just recharged it. But when I reopened the game, I hit the first button I saw on my screen, which was the physical version. The digital version, since I installed a second, shows up second. And the digital version is that much faster. So all that difference in what I was doing, like last week, all that time loss was just because I was running a version with longer loading times. So bad news is last week was kind of a wash. Good news is I figured it out for this week, so we should be good to go. Floxy, good to see you again. You should do your route for 6-2 and 10-1 since I die there. 10-1, it's like fine as long as I just slow down a little bit. I usually, the second one is the only one I'll die on. 6-2 I'll have to look at. Yeah, 6-2 I do dumb stuff. I just like the 6-2 strat, it looks cool. You played physical? Yeah. So that's what was happening last week and why I just couldn't get a run together even though I thought I was playing okay and I like didn't dial that much last week. It was specifically I had accidentally chosen the physical version of the game when I was restarting my system. And in case we hadn't proven to that point that the time loss is significant between those two versions, it 1000% is. Like, that's why I could not, no matter how well I was playing, keep pace with the world record. So, yeah, just chalk that down and more proof toward there's a huge difference between the two game versions. But I am back on digital now, hopefully, so that shouldn't be impacting this week's runs at all. I did double check. And there were like warnings that I should have caught. On the loading screen it says, hey, you don't have a version of this game saved with this SD card. Do you want to save it now? And I was like, that's weird. You know, I wonder what update killed all my save data. This is sad. But it's because I was switching versions of the game. And this game is very iffy about when you switch versions of the game. So that should have been my initial warning that I was doing the wrong thing. But I ignored that. And yeah. Here we are, so you'll notice that this week I'm actually ahead at the end of World 1, unlike last week where I couldn't get a run ahead. Yay! Yeah. I mean, the positive side is it proves that there is a significant load time difference, because I had done calculations on individual levels, like to do the comparison, and then sort of extrapolate out to assume you lost around 4 minutes over the course of the run. I can now confidently say you lose around 4 minutes over the course of the run. I didn't go through and specifically time out, but I did another no reset run off stream later, still with the wrong version, and I finished in 1:59, and usually my no resets at this point are cleanly under 2 hours. They're closer to I was thinking it was like a 1:55 type run, so yep, version makes a difference. It also does make me feel a little bit better about some of my earlier runs, like, hey, if I look back at when I got started with this game, I wasn't doing too bad at the beginning, just because if you look at the time difference when I was running on physical, like, hey, not too bad. Oh, but yeah, thankfully, should be back to normal time this week, so I'm pretty excited about that. Man, already, yo, good to see you! You must be up late. Hope you're doing alright. Aw, dang. Yeah. Today's Easter though, which is my favorite holiday because bunnies. I was always really convenient growing up that like I obviously love bunnies a lot, and I've loved bunnies since I was a kid. Um, and so Easter's been my favorite holiday like the entire time I've been alive. But I got lucky that it also happens to be like a really good Christian holiday, and so when when grandparents would say, "Oh, that's your favorite holiday," I could say yes, and I wouldn't get judgmental looks. That worked out pretty well. And so far, Easter's been pretty chill this year. Obviously, can't really go anywhere due to many things, but my family still set up like a family game afternoon. It wasn't so much nighttime, it was noon my time. Where we did like just fun dice games that were Easter themed, just a bunch of fun things with family. We play in a game called Tabletop Simulator, which lets you simulate tabletop type things, so you can put dice, you can put cards down. And the game we were doing involved passing dice, so it worked well to have that simulator up. But man, it's so funny because you can like write on the table and like send messages and a bunch of other stupid things. And it's one of those things where like my mom and my dad sort of their whole time in that game is playing the game. Yeah, it is Easter today. Happy Easter. But my brother and I were a little bit more used to games and game interfaces, so we tend to have a little bit of free time between turns. And it's kind of nice that we can then just spend that time messing with each other's boards. So it's a really fun one overall. I did okay today. I won a little bit. Not all the way, but some of it. Still nice to do. And then English Easter? Yes. So Easter, the Christian holiday is today. Today is Easter Sunday. Mine is mostly the fact that there's just a gajillion bunnies. So like it's Bunny Day officially in Animal Crossing, so I spent this morning trading eggs with villagers just because I could. It should be worldwide since I think Christianity doesn't get localized with dates. But yeah, like Animal Crossing this morning has bunnies and everyone's dressed up in egg outfits and it's really cute. And like I attempted to make rabbit-shaped pancakes this morning for myself for breakfast. Normally I do like cinnamon rolls as an Easter breakfasty thing, but I at least tried. Did they turn out great? No. Did they turn out okay? Yes. Do I feel good about the fact that I tried and I did something Easter themed today? Yes. So you know what? I'll take that as a win. So Easter pancakes. I tried to do like colorful eggs. So dyeing eggs is like an Easter tradition where you usually would hard boil eggs and then dye the outside of them. Different colors, you draw different patterns. Except I have never been able to successfully hard boil an egg. Now I've only tried like twice, so I probably should try again sometime and not leave it at, well, I guess this is a skill I can never possess because I failed at it once. But because of that, I never really liked to hard boiled eggs because it takes so long and you don't find out until later if you actually got it right. Oh, yo, gold split, what's up? How did I get a gold split? I guess I did get the P-switch jump. That's really the big part of World 2. Oh, cool. Yeah, by 0.4 seconds. So normally you would hard boil Easter eggs and then dye them, but again, I don't like hard boiling eggs because I don't think I'm good at it, and it takes so long to figure out if you've messed them up because you have to like do all this waiting and all this other stuff and da da da. I like scrambled eggs. Scrambled eggs are awesome. So I decided I wanted to try doing what was I trying? I wanted to try still doing like the idea of dyeing Easter eggs, but just without having to actually hard boil eggs. And so I took food dye that I have and I just put it into my scrambled eggs. Now I know I didn't know if I could recover it. I'll just keep going. I didn't know if, like I've done it before with green food dye to make green eggs and ham from the Dr. Seuss book. So I knew you could dye scrambled eggs different colors. But it turns out I tried to dye it pink and it kind of just looked like brains. Like that would be a good Halloween type thing. It's just dyed reddish, pinkish, gross looking Easter eggs. And then I was like, I'll try doing pink and blue so there's like a little bit more color in here and everything. And then they just all turned blue/purple. And they look like an absolute mess. So I just had these like really weird colored eggs, pancakes that pass for rabbits if I tell you about them. And then I had some strawberries. Strawberries are fine. Nothing weird about the strawberries, thankfully. So it was an interesting morning. But lots of fun things, lots of things that just make me feel Eastery. Oof, yeah. Early death, but it's 3-1, which is fast. Oh, you don't like eggs? That's understandable. Eggs are definitely a specific type of taste. Like I said, I don't like egg yolks very much. So if I do ever have hard-boiled eggs, I'll skip eating the yolks of them. That's why scrambled eggs are nice, because it sort of disguises that. And then I'm not wasting the egg, but like, don't have to taste that part. I think really I just like salt, and you can put a lot of salt on eggs. And that might be why. But it's still a nice little breakfast. I usually just do cereal for breakfast. I usually don't do anything that fancy, but Easter is one of those holiday things, so it feels like I should do something special for it. So I've tried a little bit harder. I'm very full today though as well, since normally I have just cereal, and today was like multiple pancakes, bunch of eggs, and some strawberries. It was like, all right, that was maybe it for a while. I think we're doing good today. Whee! The jumps with the superstar go so much further than normal jumps. They just kind of feel fun, like whoosh. Eggs are weird. They're meant for chickens biologically. I mean, eggs, if you like use the technical term egg, can be a lot of things, right? Humans technically make eggs. They're just inside eggs, not outside eggs. And like a lot of different animals lay eggs, like turtles lay eggs. But chickens are a very common egg animal, I would say. Oh boy. Really, so Easter is my favorite holiday, but my second favorite is the day after Easter, and that's not because it's a real holiday. But I call it Half Price Bunny Day, and it's because it's the day when all of the Easter stuff that the stores have goes on sale. And so you can get bunnies for half price, so Half Price Bunny Day. And I'm so excited. Like, that's always one of my favorite days too, just because it gives me an excuse to go to stores and buy just like a ton of bunnies that I definitely do not need. And I kind of am in a bit of a pickle right now, because I realized that, you know, I take this holiday, why are none of the mushrooms coming my way? Please, game. I guess it answered my question. It gave me a mushroom. I was looking for the other type, but that's fine. We'll just get one in the Bowser fight. Easter Boxing Day? That makes sense. But like, I know I tend to get a lot of bunnies on what I call Half Price Bunny Day, and it's not like I need all these bunnies, nor is it like I have a ton of space in my house to put all these bunnies. But a couple years ago, I decided, like, look, it'd be really cool if I sort of do a little cycle. I'm gonna split. Yeah, the 15 seconds from that one death. The 3-1 death is just so fast. 15 seconds, it's great. It's already midnight. Yes. Yeah, I know. I'm glad you caught even a few minutes of it, man, already, because I almost never get to see you. But hopefully you have a good night and a good week. See you next time. Oh, hi, Juice ADC. Thanks for the good luck. Oh, man. But yeah, so a couple years ago I realized, like, okay, this is not sustainable if I just keep buying a bunch of bunnies when they're on sale. Like, I need to do something about this, otherwise my entire house will look like an episode of Hoarders, but with just rabbits, which I'm sure is someone's nightmare. Probably not mine. That kind of sounds good, but it sounds scary enough that I'm sure it's a bad idea. So I decided I would donate them, and I figured what was cool about this idea is I don't mind having bunnies in my house, and so why don't I donate them before Easter, right? So if I donate them, and this year would have been like early March, then that would have given me a chance to donate the rabbits so they'd all be available for other people right before Easter happens, which sounded cool. And then it would clear out my house so that after Easter I could fill it up with bunnies again, which worked out perfectly. It was so wonderful. Donated a whole bunch of rabbits. I'm sure I got some weird looks. There was like a Girl Scout troop at the donation place helping out that day, and they just kind of didn't know what to say. But that was fine. It's just like, here's a bunch of bunnies, please take these inside. But the problem is, last year and this year, unfortunately, as you may have heard, there's a pandemic, and stuffed animal rabbits are not a thing that a lot of places are accepting because people are not sure if stuffed animals can carry the virus longer than other things, and they're hard to clean, right? Stuffed animals are not the easiest thing to clean. You can throw them in a washer machine or washing machine, but at the same time, like, that can also destroy the bunny. They're not really made for that. So unfortunately what this means is, while I did slow down on purchasing rabbits a little bit, I now have about 2 years worth of rabbits sitting next to my bed. And the problem is, I really still want to go out and Half Price Bunny Day again this year, but I don't really have room for more bunnies. And it's honestly been fine throughout the pandemic because no one's come over to my house. And even if they did, like, people don't usually come into my room. It's only if my parents are visiting that, like, they would get my bedroom and I'd sleep out on an air mattress or something. But, you know, the pandemic's looking like it's going to go somewhere else, which is nice. Like, it's going to start to end. Vaccine eligibility is opening up for my area, which is awesome news. Which means that my parents will come visit again sometime this year, probably. Which means that I need to figure out, if I'm going to have all these bunnies, what am I going to do with all the bunnies when my mom comes over and stays in my bedroom and doesn't want to have bunnies staring at her while she's trying to fall asleep at night. So, yeah, that's going to be a challenge, but that's a problem for tomorrow's me. America? Yeah, I don't know if that comment is about the Half Price Bunnies or the vaccine eligibility, but I could see it for both. Oh man, I'm so excited to like get vaccinated and everything though. I think for me, oh, I tried. I think for me, it's like mid-April is when it opens up for my age group. Because obviously, like, I'm not the first age group. I'm not old, I don't have comorbidities, I'm pretty lucky overall. I can work from home, I'm not in a high-risk setting, so it makes sense that I'm like last in line. But I'm still excited when we get to my turn in the line. That's gonna be nice. So many things to look forward to. It's been interesting talking to my coworkers about this too, because some of them are like, oh yeah, it'll be nice to get the vaccine, but like I'm not like looking forward to it. And I'm sitting over here basically counting down the days until I become eligible. And I feel like part of that is, how are you treating the pandemic right now? What about your life has changed as a result of it? And for some of my coworkers, they're maybe not taking things as safely as I am, and so they're out a bit more, and so there's not as much that they're missing out on, and therefore there's not as much that will change once they get the vaccine and can sort of go back to normal. Whereas for me, I went super paranoia mode, stayed in my house, didn't really do anything, go grocery shopping, and that was about it. So there's a lot more that's gonna open up to me, where the world and like the county and everything is like, yeah, it's okay to play tennis, but I haven't been playing tennis. And once I get vaccinated, it's like, yep, let's go back play tennis again. So lots of things to look forward to. Conveniently though, playing this game doesn't change regardless. Like, this is a nice game where you just play it whenever. All inside activity. Oh, getting my stretching in a little bit. The first 4 levels just feel like they're all one world. Or sorry, the first 4 worlds all feel like they're one world. The first 4 levels are definitely part of one world, and that was called World 1. But the first 4 worlds kind of just smooth together. Like, I feel like I've actually started a run once I'm out of World 4. Until then, it's just sort of like it's not the prelude or the preamble. Prologue. Prologue is the word I'm thinking of. It's like the prologue to the game. Like, that's the demo version that you get before you know for sure if you want to buy it. That's where it cuts out and asks, like, if you want to continue, pay $9.99 now for the full version of the game. Except this game costs like $30 or something, so a little bit more than that. But they're also introductory compared to, I think, some of the other ones. Like, I feel like the first 4 worlds are so much mechanic stuff. Oh, death counter. Sorry, I saw your message first just saying you died on 3-1. And I was like, okay, well, you didn't have to remind me. Like, dang. Yes, though, I did not uncrement my death counter. Thank you for the reminder to do that. That is a good thing. I will do that after this level. Depending on how this level goes, maybe I'll have to increment it to 2. Oh, that did not look safe at all. How did I not die there? Yes. Man, I'm so bad at remembering that death counter. Like, I have it, and I like having it, because it gives me a better memory on what's happened. But there we go. Death counter's now at 1. Thank you, Flonksy. And yeah, that's the plus 15-ish. Although it looks like I saved time on World 4, which is nice. And see, this week I know I'm running the right version, because, like, I'm holding constant between worlds if I don't make mistakes. God, last week was so frustrating. Oh, man. Like, it's one of those things where I thought that maybe something had messed up with the game because I knew I had restarted, and it was weird that it had sort of reset some of my save data. But I hadn't thought that I had completely switched versions, and so I just was really feeling down, losing a lot of, oh, dang it, now I've got to set this up, and this is annoying. A lot of confidence in the game that week. Oh boy. Whee! Final jump. There we go. You might pick this game up a few months from now. It's a really fun game. Would highly recommend it. Like, both as a speedrun and casually. Like, it's got fun levels. It's got cool 100% medal challenges. Like, I really did like this one. Like, the way I got into speedrunning this game is I had been watching, like, GDQ events for a while and thinking, oh, hey, it'd be fun to speedrun a game. But I knew that I wanted to find one that would work with me, right? I didn't have one in mind when I was watching the GDQ events. And it wasn't until I was playing this one on like an airplane while traveling to see grandparents or something that I was like, hey, wait, I kind of really like this game. I think these levels are fun. And even then, I didn't really think that I wanted to run this until I played 19.3 specifically and tried to get the medal challenges. And that's because one of the medal challenges for 19.3 is to beat it in under a certain amount of time. And as I was trying to get that medal, I ended up like mini routing the speedrun for the level. Oh, there we go. And that's when I realized, oh wait, hey, I think I just speedran this level as part of this medal challenge. That was fun. Let's do more of that. So definitely was interesting to me casually, even outside of speedrunning. And as a speedrun, I've absolutely been loving this. All right, can I get the final jump? Nope. Man, I haven't been able to get that specific one in a while. I don't know which way I'm missing the timing on it, but definitely missing something. And we still made a cycle on that, so that's good too. Boy. You have the game, you just have other stuff you're running right now? Makes sense. I definitely feel like I'm in the minority of having just a single speedrun game. I know Palonxi's got like 10 or something. It seems like once people get into speedrunning, they don't stop. Like, there's just more and more games. And I definitely know, like, I was playing Yoshi's Crafted World for fun. And as soon as I finished it, I was like, I wonder what the speedrun for this one looks like. And I'm sure that I'd get really frustrated with it because Yoshi's movement speed is really slow in that game, it feels like. But it's on my list to at least watch a speedrun of it. Partially because I'm curious and like mildly interested, but partially just because there were certain bosses that, every boss has a challenge where you try to beat them in under a certain amount of time. And I'm just really curious if I did it the right way or what the fastest way to do it was. That wasn't even close to a spring jump, you jumped so low. I mean, the thing for me with spring jumps is usually you have to drop the spring early. So maybe I just need to have held A longer, but you need to drop A in order to get the jump off, so you end up with a lower jump if you miss it, I think. But I will have to look at that again. Whee! Alright, star time. Speedy Mario. I always feel like I'm cutting it so close to dying right there, even though I'm looking at the same mark every single time, and I know that's what works. Yay, all 3 Bowsers are down. Part of me wonders, like, if I should try to get into ROM hacks as the next thing to do. Oh. Oh yeah, I did die in World 5 last time, didn't I? Huh. Well, there we go, we're back on track. Part of me wonders if I should get into ROM hacks, just to see, like, if that helps with Kaizo tricks, but I don't know if that actually would, because I think that the physics are different, because most ROM hacks are on Mario 3, and that physics is not the same as this one, which is on SMU. You have 602 total runs submitted to SRC. That is a lot of runs. I think I should only have, like, full runs is just this one. And then ILs, it's like 106 or something because of the ILs that you could do any percent and 100% simultaneously. Like, anytime that happened, I double submitted, but not like a very frequent common occurrence. I'm always really sad when there are auto-scrollers where you can't double medal while doing any percent. Because some of them, it's like you're so close, but then just like the very last coin will be behind the transition and you're like, well, there it goes. Can't do that anymore. Sad face. Oh well. Combined? I assumed it was combined. As in like, because I have 7, I think, time submissions for this particular category. I don't know if SRC would count them all together. Oh hey Cypher, good to see you. Oh man. It's nice that speedrun.com keeps track of so many things though. Like, that just works. There's things that are not great about it, like sometimes the server gets problems and underperforms, but like, man, the fact that that site just works as much as it does is really awesome. And I love the stats. Like, the fact that you can go back and see the history of the record for every single individual level is so extra. Like, you really don't need that for most of them, but it is fun. Like, there's a couple of them that are interesting to look at. I think 5-3 went back and forth a few times. 16.4 has been moving around. Like, it's cool that it does that for you. You think obsolete runs are different submissions? Okay, that would make sense. I guess they were submitted, and if you technically count it as an object, it would work that way. Oh, then I might have 115 total. Woo! Take a while for me to get more than that, though. Next on my list is to go back and start to tie some of the records that I've lost from the any percent ILs, but definitely am giving myself a bit more of a break in April because January was the holidays. I sort of gave myself time there. I was doing some changes to how I did like daily goals for myself, and I started like a new challenge on healthiness and weight and things like that. So I sort of wanted to make sure I had the space to work on that. But then February, March, both months, every day's goal was spend at least an hour working on individual levels. And it worked. I got through every single individual level in this game on any percent, which was really exciting. That's a goal I've had since October. Yay! I'm so happy that I met that. But definitely some days I would just be I wouldn't start it right away, I guess is the best way to put it. Like, I wouldn't start it until 11 because it's like, oh, I'm doing something else. Oh, I need to start it before midnight so that I can have the hour and still get to bed on time. But the problem is, once you start playing this game, like, I found it a lot harder to stop. So it'd be midnight, I'd have done my official hour of practice, but then feel like I was so close to getting it. And with IELTS, it's like, you feel close, but you don't know for sure how close you are. It could be that next run, it could be the next hour. So I'd end up staying up till like 1 a.m. on those nights, because it's like, well, I'm in the groove now. I'm really close to getting this. I don't want to stop, but then I would be super low on sleep the next day and it'd make it a lot harder to work. So this month, trying to give myself a bit more of a break to catch up and sort of reset some of the healthy habits around sleep and eating and exercise, all of those things that dropped off a little bit for the last few. For exercise, I can't talk today at all, wow. For exercise, I did get Ring Fit Adventure though, which is a surprisingly fun game. I wasn't sure if I'd like it, but I needed something to get me to do strength training. I'm perfectly fine at like doing some types of exercise. I love dance games, so like DDR type games that really work on moving your legs around and stuff like that. Perfectly fine, no issues there. When tennis is an option, love playing tennis, no issues going out and playing tennis, but strength training is one of the big areas that when I was in high school and on a tennis team, we would do every once in a while, but if you leave it to me, I never do that. And that's not really a great mix. You're supposed to sort of mix between agility and strength and all those other like cardio sorts of things. So the nice thing about Ring Fit Adventure is like it actually gets me motivated to do strength type things. Like it's not all strength. There's like jogging sections, things like that. But it's been good overall at like, okay, well in between some of your jogging, why don't you do sit-ups because they're super effective against this enemy. And as a lifelong Pokemon player, it's like, this super effective? Yes, please, let me use that attack. Oh man, it's like the dumbest, simplest color code thing. If the enemy is blue, you do a blue exercise to deal super effective damage to that enemy. But like 100% it gets my brain on board of like, yes, this exercise that I hate doing, we're doing it because it's super effective. So definitely works with the gamer mindset that I've got sometimes. The whole want the numbers to go the right way thing. Yeah, it knows how to play into that, so it's been fun. I have a friend who's tried it as well but doesn't like it at all, and I think it's because she's not really as into video games, and so if you're not into that stuff, if you didn't like video games in the first place, then a game that's styled as a video game, even if it is just for exercise, isn't necessarily going to do a lot for you, so makes sense. Healthy habits, sleep cringe. It's surprisingly hard to do those things. Like, oh man, I never was good at them in college. College was an absolute mess in terms of like healthiness. And it's one of those things where like for a lot of years you can get away with not doing well on any of those things. Right? Like I didn't do badly enough at any of them that it was a problem. But it's one of those things where what were we doing? We did some training at work that was like weird and I don't know why we did it, but it was all around like positivity and mindfulness and good mentality type deal. And I think a lot of it was trying to compare the way that I was talking a lot about how athletes train their mind for competition. And this idea that you have to be able to get yourself into the zone, right? If you've ever heard like, oh, I'm in the zone or whatever, like that's a place you can be. There's a certain spot where you feel like you're like 100% on top of things. Your brain is moving fast enough. Your body's moving fast enough. You're reacting to things on time. And that can happen with not just professional sports. Obviously, it can happen with speedrunning too. Like you can get into the zone on a speedrun and just everything is landing. All your tricks are working. All of your strats are going smoothly. And the question that the training... Oh, sorry. Got something in my throat real quick. Oh no. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I got something like hard caught in my throat. And now I've lost my shellmet. Well, I don't think I've lost a run this way before, so that'll be fun. Oh, anyway. Point was, they were talking about athletes and how if you're in the zone, you're obviously playing a lot better, right? That's a big benefit. That's like a buff right there. I probably should have gone for that mushroom. Oh well. Anyway, so the idea of the training was, hey, what if you could get in that zone more often, right? What if you could control getting into that zone? If it's something that you want to be in, if it's something that helps a lot, and you could just sort of pull it up on demand, wouldn't that be amazing, right? So how do you get yourself to get into the zone more frequently? Ah, sorry, the thing is still stuck in my throat, but I can't take care of it because I'm in the middle of this level. Okay. Ah. That was miserable. I'm surprised I didn't die to like getting dust caught in my throat. Anyway, I'm gonna drink a lot more water right now. Oh, there we go. And so sorry, I'm like rehashing a lot because I keep having to stop to drink water. But basically, being in the zone is a really good state to be in. It makes you more likely, if you're a competitive athlete, to win. If you're a corporate worker, which is us, which is what the training was for, makes you more likely to make the right decisions during meetings and react appropriately when things come up, like incidents happen or challenges arise. And then again, it works out well for speedrunning too, right? If I make a mistake, well, you're less likely to make mistakes, and then if you do make a mistake, you may be more alert and ready to recover. So the question of the training was, how do you get yourself into that state? Well, the first thing was the foundation. You are very unlikely to get into that state if you are not alert and awake. It's still there. Sorry if I sound like I'm dying at any point. It's just because I've got the stupid thing caught in my throat. I'll be fine, but I might not sound like it. So the foundation of it, though, is like if you only got 2 hours of sleep last night, your body's gonna just be too tired to be awake and to be alert. Like your chances of getting into that zone are super low compared to if you had gotten the right amount of sleep. Dang. Same applies for nutrients, right? If you are under-nutritionized, that's definitely not a phrase. If you're low on nutrition, if you're low on nutrients, well, then your body doesn't have what it needs to also be in that state and maintain that type of state, maintain that performance. And so a significant first portion of that training was just how do you take care of your body so that it's ready, so that your body isn't holding you back. And that's where we really got into getting enough sleep, getting enough, like drinking enough water, eating healthy, all of those sorts of things. Now, the reason I bring all of that up is it turns out it does kind of work. As much as it sort of sounds like mumbo jumbo because they mix that in with things like meditating, which can also really help, and there's proven studies for that. I kind of wasn't sure to believe it because there are these people that show up and are like, they weren't selling anything besides their own services, but still felt kind of weird. But I ended up doing an extended version of the training because I was like, sure, why not? Oh, come here. It's free. I can do this. And what was interesting about it is I did notice a change. So the way that the extended training worked is it actually did challenge you for a whole week to eat healthy or sleep enough or do one of those things that the people were recommending that you do. And because that was the rules, I follow rules a lot because that's what we were supposed to do that week. I did. I managed to, the week we were supposed to get enough sleep, I was in bed at least 9 hours ahead of my alarm every single night. Usually got at least 8 hours of sleep as a result. Week that we were eating healthy, I ate vegetables or fruits at like every meal, which is not my normal behavior. And as much as I didn't want this to work, it 100% did. I felt so much better those weeks. Like I could feel myself having more energy. I noticed that I was more productive at work. I noticed that I was better able to do things outside of work too. And so even that's not enough that I like do this all the time. It proved to me that like, hey, this is something you can do to make you just better at things. And it comes at a cost, right? Like preparing vegetables takes time that I could have spent doing something else. Sleeping obviously takes up time that I could have spent doing something else. But there's this trade-off point of if I'm too tired, then it's going to take me twice as long to do this thing. So if I do half an hour of a nap just to catch up on sleep and then do half an hour of this thing, I'm both going to be better rested and I'll be the exact same amount of effectiveness as before. So it gave me another dimension to think about and work on. And so that's why this year in particular, as I feel like I'm slowing down, and the pandemic's been dragging on me the whole time. I know I'm not alone in that. It's something that is within my control to do that I feel like has the chance to make things a little bit better. So that's why it's been a focus for me lately. And I think it has been working out okay. Obviously still a ways to go. And today's breakfast with Easter was like definitely a splurgy type breakfast of I just want all of the fun things because it's Easter. But still good. Still making me feel a little bit better about myself some days too, which is always a nice benefit. It's kind of weird work was recommending this. Yeah, it was unusual that they set up this training, but I think the idea was, I think what happened is the CEO had gotten this training for his leadership team, and whoever like was the leader on that I report to was like, this is amazing, I need my team to do this, and so they had their team do it. And then that was when my leader was like, oh wait, this is amazing, my team needs to do this, and had my team do it as well. It was like a large team. And it was definitely like an unusual type of training compared to normal training around ethics and responsibility and AI and all the other fun stuff that you get to do with tech. You know, diversity and inclusion. And those trainings can be really good, but a lot of times companies suck at making them. And so they're just really bad. Like so many of the diversity and inclusion trainings are, don't be racist. You shouldn't like tell girls that they're hot at work. ta-da, we've trained you. And like, no one needed to hear that. Like, that wasn't the part that people were messing up. Well, I mean, some people apparently do, but you know, those trainings don't do a whole lot. They've gotten better, but this one was just like such a left field, out of nowhere sort of training. But honestly, it's the best training I've gotten at work. Like a lot of the other ones, there's helpful parts to them. But this is the one where it's like, I can actually use this outside of work. Like, this is a training that's helped me with all of the things. So honestly, pretty glad we did it. And again, it's not like that the people doing the training were like selling a health food thing where they were trying to make you then buy their healthy protein shake mix or whatever. It was, hey, here's the healthy tips. Then you could hire them as coaches, which I'm not going to do. But honestly, pretty solid advice. And like I said, it's not that I immediately took it and trusted it and was like, okay, yep, let's go. Let's change everything about my life. But I gave the things a try and they worked. And that could be a placebo, but they worked enough that it's like, you know, maybe there's something to this. Maybe the entire world isn't out to get me. Maybe I should think about the fact that this might actually be true information. And there's something of, it's probably helpful for them to share information that works so people come back to them. So you know what? I'll take it. Awesome advice, corporate person. I feel like that's a meme format. Awesome advice, corporate person should just be a meme format. Like way back in the day when there were like all the memes with the pinwheel backgrounds and like 2 colors. Back when like Success Kid first came out and everything. Oh man. I use memes way too much. Like it's always hard to know where you are like consistent with everyone else and where you're either like above or below average with everyone else. And I think I've recently realized that I may be more into memes than pretty much anyone I work with at all. Which, to be fair, a lot of people I work with are older than me because like it's a software corporate company. But I definitely ended up making a meme one day at work to talk about something where our team felt like we were overworked, and so I got to use the meme format that was like, wait, you guys are getting paid? Like, oh man. I was very proud of it. I don't think anyone on the team got the reference, but that was okay. The awkward part was during the next meeting, I had to share my screen for some reason, and the first thing that came up when I went to the browser was me searching that meme format, and I just had to kind of gloss over it, like, oh, sorry, I was using a meme to express my frustration about something. Anyway, back to Kubernetes. Oh my goodness. Work can always be an adventure. I feel like work from home, work from work feels so different, but I'll be honest, one of the things I've been so frustrated with is usually I feel like I'm a fairly adaptable sort of person. Like I can deal with lots of challenges, I can adapt to new situations. Somehow it's a year and a half in, I still have not solved how to work from home effectively. I don't know if it's a mental thing where I just don't think I'm good at working from home. I don't like working from home. I know I prefer having work and life that separate. I know that like I only have one desk, so all of my work and streaming, like I'm streaming on the same monitor that I would be working at, you know, tomorrow. But I just don't know why I haven't cracked that nut yet. It's been so frustrating. It just, and it bleeds into everything else. When I feel like I'm not doing my job, like I pride myself on being able to do a good job. It's not like work is everything for me, but I like doing well and doing my best at stuff. And so the fact that I'm not doing my best at work right now ends up making me feel frustrated about things outside of work too. So it's been rough. That's one of the reasons I'm really looking forward to vaccines, is because that's when I think I'll feel comfortable going back and working in a co-working environment again. Oh, I didn't realize that one didn't fire. All right, we're gonna take the bottom route, which means I actually have to pay attention. Sad face. At least now I know that. Chances that I die because I never go this way. It could be because you're used to having home as a relaxation non-workspace. It definitely is. That's definitely part of it. So I have always done a good job of having my work and home life separate. And a lot of that is due to the boundary, the physical separation of those two. Like some of my coworkers always were frustrated because it feels like they could never leave work at work. It would follow them home. They check their emails at night. And that's never been an issue for me because once I close my laptop and put it away, it feels far enough away that I just don't worry about it anymore. And the fact that I can't do that, the fact that I can't go, oh, nope, here's this space, here's the other space, is definitely draining on me. But it's one of those things where I feel frustrated because I can see my peers have adjusted. My peers are having other issues. No one's like, yes, this is the best thing ever, but other peers of mine don't seem to have that same problem of getting work done, like that I have been struggling with. And it's not like I'm causing my team any problems. I'm not behind on my projects. I've been on the same team for a while, so I'm pretty good at what I do now, but at the same time, It hurts knowing I could be doing better and seeing myself not achieve that. But I'm still working through it. Like, my manager's been super supportive and trying to help me get arrangements for things so I can still go into the office sometimes, trying to figure out for myself what's working. The latest thing that I've tried is I hand-stitched a tiny Among Us plushie that kind of looks like it wants to be Slenderman because I got the leg proportion wrong. But just having the tiny little Among Us crewmate next to my desk so it feels like, okay, but now I have a coworker, now I'm at work, and just doing something to signal that it's work time has helped a little bit. Not as much as I'd hoped it would, but a little Among Us crewmate is definitely bringing their little A game whenever they can. Oh boy. Twirl time. Have to pay attention on this. Oh, I missed that jump. I haven't given my crewmate a name. I'm really bad about naming things. Like, I'll name stuffed animal rabbits just fine. I can come up with names. But for anything that's not like a stuffed animal, I'm never quite sure. Like, the crewmate is just called crewmate. Oh, well, good thing I have a mushroom. I guess the mushroom also is the reason I didn't make that jump though, so question marks. But like, I feel like it's rude not to give the crewmate a name, but like also the crewmate has no distinguishing features besides its color. I guess its name is yellow, if I had to give it one. I made it yellow because that's my favorite color and it's also just a very cheerful color, but if anyone has ideas on roommate or crewmate names, let me know. School makes me feel institutionalized and not free. Oh, similar problems with schoolwork? Definitely see that being the case too. I know I do feel fortunate that I'm out of school by now. I finished college a while back, so I don't have to worry about like that much less structured thing. Just, I guess the frustration is I don't have nearly as many deadlines as I would have in school to try to keep me on track, but it is nice that I don't have to worry about missing out on any of the school things. Your solution was to set up a room designed for work, just what's worked for me. Yeah, that's one of the things that like I try to keep in mind as like maybe I'm not the worst person on my team. I know I'm not, but like that thought gets into your head sometimes. I don't really have an extra room to set up. I have a 1-bedroom apartment more or less. So I've got a bedroom. I've got an alcove that is really supposed to be for like a kitchen table, but that's where my desk and my rabbits are. And then I have the living room. And so with only one desk and not really a good spot to put a second one, that's one of the reasons I've been kind of trapped. Like if I had gotten a 2-bedroom and like, of course I couldn't have known that the pandemic was gonna happen. I think that would have helped a lot, but thought about setting up a second monitor just on the other side of my desk even, but the desk really isn't that wide. Just trying to make it look like there's 2 spaces to work, but not so much. I'm currently also just trying to go the other way and like, if I can't get myself to sit at my desk for the full 8 hours, like just bring my, both personal and work, I have laptops that I can bring to my couch and like, you know what? If at least you're still doing something, even if you're half watching another Twitch stream while you're doing it, that's at least progress. Yeah. Being like somewhat forgiving with myself is the other one, right? Like I have these high standards for myself and I'm not meeting them right now, but trying to remember that this is an exceptional circumstance. It doesn't mean I'm a terrible worker. It doesn't mean I'm not good at my job. It means that there's a pandemic and it's a struggle and that's okay. I can be nice about that. If my friends were telling me the same thing, I would tell them it's okay. I tell them not to take it so hard on themselves. It's just telling yourself the same thing is always harder than telling it to a friend. But hey, at least I'm getting better at that too during the pandemic, so skill to work on. Yay! It's rude not to give an inanimate object a name. I mean, I don't know. I definitely personify things a bit, but not as much as other people. Like a coworker of mine, a lot of people that I remember like being in orchestra with in high school would name their instruments. Like 100%, their instruments would have names, and they thought it was weird that my instrument did not have a name. And I've never been able to give my cellos names. Like, their name is my cello. That's about it. That's all I've got for you. But other things, like a crewmate is designed to look like it is a person, right? Ish. It's an approximation of a person, so it feels more like I should treat it with respect, especially if I'm trying to pretend it's my coworker, because I don't have coworkers at home and my bunnies just sleep all day, so. Oh well. Yeah, it's a tough snare. I know, I feel frustrated because it's like, I wish I could do something about it. And like, people have been so helpful with trying to suggest ideas, and I feel like I always shoot them down. So, trying to get better at that too. But you know what? Again, vaccine news is optimistic. I continue to work with my team on things and trying to figure out what I can do to try to fix this. So, not done figuring it out yet. I will get there eventually. That eventually might be after the pandemic is over, but gosh darn it, we'll get there. Oh man, weird kids. I would never name my violin. Yeah, not really my thing. Like, the closest I ever got because of the peer pressure was like each of the different cello. I had 2 cellos over the course of like high school. One was like my first student cello, and then the next one was like a slightly nicer cello that could actually play things. And each of them had a different string that particularly resonated on that instrument. And so for a while it was like, well, this is the C cello and this is the G cello. Yay! But that just isn't really a name. What did I miss? I missed a jump. I don't know which jump I missed though. Well, good news is backup was fine. Oh my goodness. Orchestra was nice though. I definitely miss playing in orchestra sometimes. And then it's the other times I remember how much rehearsals were actually just a drag, and it's like maybe I don't miss it as much as I thought I did. Like, that's one of those things when you look back, right? What were the strongest memories? And some of them are like the negative ones. Some of them are the really positive ones. I feel like for orchestra, more of my memories are positive, where I think about like the really cool songs where cellos got to do awesome things. And then I forget all of the times they played Mozart and cellos just do the same notes over and over because why not? Yay. And like, rehearsals for those songs were terrible because there's not a lot you're working on. You're never the focus. If something like the director's going to call out a group to practice, it's not going to be the cellos because there's nothing for us to do differently besides maybe play a little bit louder or quieter. And of course there probably was, but you know, high school orchestra, it's not like we had a ton of finesse to go on. It was just like, yep, we didn't screw up the intonation or the tempo. We're good. Mozart is overrated? I agree. I know that's because I just... he takes terrible cello parts. Like, Dvorak is known for having really cool cello parts, but also some of those were intimidating as a high school student, so it was always iffy. Like, when you got Dvorak, you knew you were going to be playing cool stuff and you're going to be the focus, but that also meant that, like, you actually had to practice. Whereas Mozart's like, you didn't have to practice because there was nothing to practice, but man, there was just nothing to those for a cello. So sad. Still better than Canon in D, though. Oh wait, split. Yay. Still better than Canon in D, which is the worst song for cellos ever written. Like, my beginning cello songs are more fun to play. From like my very first student cello book, where the first few songs are literally just the open strings. Those are still more fun to play than Canon in D. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure I go on this Canon D rant at least once a month, but God, the violin part, the viola parts, like those are all really beautiful. It's a gorgeous song. The cello part is the same 8 notes across 2 measures, played for 2 whole pages. And they write them all out. The version I had wrote them all out too. So I have like this 2-page song that is literally just 2 measures repeated. And it's this awful mix of like trying not to be bored and being bored anyway. So you start doing dumb things like, I'm just gonna go super slow here. Like trying to play the entire song on the C string, because why not? Was I skilled enough to do that? No, definitely not. It sounded bad, but I was bored enough that I just needed to do something so I'd at least keep playing the music. So yeah, it's an absolutely gorgeous song. Super duper boring on cello. You've never had to play Canon D? Kind of surprising? That is. I feel like that's a common one. I mean, it's just like a super common wedding song. I think for me in high school, I was in an orchestra that would sometimes get requests to do quartets. And so occasionally I'd be part of a quartet. And it was so cool because they'd be paid gigs. And as a high school student, that just felt amazing. But Canon in D was one of the songs we did a lot because it was fairly easy to play and our quartet didn't practice very much. So yeah, definitely have like a deep-seated hatred for that song anytime it comes on, and it comes on a lot. The only, I think, other song that's more common than it is, that cellos like have a notion of, come on, ground pound, is the first suite from the Bach 6 suites, and I'm blanking on what the name is. Oh, wow, okay. I'm just playing this level today, huh? Oh, this is the one with the new strats, too. I haven't looked at the video yet, but I'll have to. I think Polongsi just broke the world record on this particular level by keeping the boot, if I remember the conversation correctly. So I'll have to try to learn that sometime. But for today, obviously not going to try to learn a new world record route in the middle of the run. So I'm going to stick with this. Okay, final dodges over the booze. Yay. But yeah. So those things where like occasionally I'll think about, oh, what music would I want to play at my wedding as I'm sitting through someone else's very long wedding, and Canon D is just not one of those. Not gonna happen. Orchestra and school print. Orchestra is fun. I like orchestra. Oh, online! Shoot, that's a difficult one. You play with a backing track where everyone else is muted. Dang. That sounds really... that would be frustrating. Like, one of the cooler parts about orchestra, I think, is the fact that you're playing with a group. Like this, you're supporting this group, you're playing together, listening and responding to what the other sections are doing. Maybe just because as a cello, you never really get solos, so you have to be good at that sort of accompaniment type stuff. But like those ensemble skills are always some of my favorite. When I was in high school, one of my favorite animes was Bleach. And in Bleach, there's this idea of a bunch of different teams, each of which has a captain and like an assistant or sub-captain. And in my head, whenever I'd get bored during orchestra, I'd try to like decide who everyone was from that anime. And I'd like have the first chair be the captain and the second chair be like the assistant captain. And like imagine that the orchestra was this team like that. Always was something that was interesting to think about. Really dumb. Not helpful for like actually paying attention, but just, you know, why not? What if the orchestra was secretly all these fighting captains with different Bankai abilities? Let's go. This makes total sense. Oh man. Alright, I need to get Yoshi. Come on, Yoshi. We're gonna be friends for this level. Ignore the fact that I'm gonna murder you a bunch of times later. Oh, you might have heard that part. Come back. Oh boy. Oh, I'm trying to read the message. I see that you guys have sent more messages, but this is just enough of a level where you have to pay attention that I can't just blindly read chat. So I'll have to catch up on messages in a second once the level's over. Sad face. It's like the worst type of auto-scroller where there's not enough to like make the level interesting to do, but there's just, now that I say that I'm gonna lose Yoshi. Come back. But there's not enough that's like, it's not free enough that you can just look away and not pay attention. Like you have to be watching the screen or you'll mess up and get hit, but not much. Okay, there we go. You're doing Schubert Death and the Maiden right now. It's amazing. Oh, that one sounds like it'd be so good in person. Schubert's got some cool stuff. Getting a split. The concert band in school you didn't even have theory. Took theory because you liked music. Theory can be good. Blindfolded run where you read chat during the run. Oh my goodness, no. Like Mario Maker 2 speedrunning is interesting. They just added a blind category. Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. There are some levels in this game where I think it'd be super easy to do them blindfolded. I don't think muscle memory is enough to get you through any level in this game purely blindfolded, but there's probably enough where like auto-scrollers you could use musical cues to know when to jump and when to hold certain things because you could normalize against the left side of the screen. But some of these other ones, like, there's just no way. Like, this one is such a mess. This one I can barely react to with my vision. There's no way I could, like, do this one well without it. Like, anything with the moles and randomness is just gonna be a mess. Maybe someday, though, as, like, a really dumb challenge, we'll see how many of these we can get through without looking. I bet we can't get past 1-1. Oh, man. Oh, okay. Well, we made it out of there. I did theory, I think, earlier than I did orchestra, because my mom put me into piano lessons when I was little, so did those for a number of years. Oh, I got that jump. That jump always just looks nice. And so, like, I at least knew key signatures, stuff like that ahead of time, which made me, like, way above average in my orchestra class, because orchestra, we barely did much theory at all. It was like, you better know what sharps and flats are, and at some point we got tested on the order of them, but that was probably about it. It wasn't until college when I did take, like, just a bonus theory course that we really went into, like, intervals and how they sound together and pairing them and different things like that and resolving and all of those, and that was such a fun class. I'm not really one for memorization, so definitely was a little bit tricky. But at the same time, one, it was just cool to like actually learn more of the reasoning behind all of the different things we'd learned about, not just like, well, memorize this because it's required. And then on top of that, in order to like prove that we understood certain intervals and things, we actually had to do composition. And I'm not good at composing music, but I really like making up melodies and counterpoint, like specifically melodies and counterpoint. It's just so much fun. And so I like got to actually do a mini composition for that class. And then what was really amazing is at the end of the class, like that was our final project, was at one composition. We'd done other ones throughout the year, but the instructor was, I think, a violist, and he had a friend who was a pianist. So we actually brought her in and they together played as many of the songs as they could. And to hear someone like perform your piece, even if it's a really bad, like little tiny composition for a class and you've never done a composition like that before, it was such a cool feeling. And like, not only hearing your song performed by like actual musicians, but then on top of that, watching them interact and like they're listening to each other, they're playing off each other, they're hearing both parts of the song that you wrote. Oh, it was so amazing. Like, definitely a highlight memory for me of college, even though it was like one random class. I can still picture like the instructor and their friend playing the songs and like where I was sitting, just because it was such an amazingly warm feeling. Like, oh boy, that was a nice one. I liked that a lot. Oh, you love counterpoint too, right? It's so amazing. That's always my favorite, is when songs have like really solid counterpoints to listen out for. Oh man. I still remember getting into a fight with my orchestra director one time. Like, they were a person who is not good at admitting when they were wrong. And to be fair, not like that's my best skill either. But they were particularly frustrating with it. And there was a point that I just remember, and I'm still salty about this, you know, years and years and years later, in case that wasn't obvious. But basically we were playing a song, and cellos had the melody. And I was excited, because cellos don't really have melody, like, at all. And so, as a cello section, we played kind of loudly because we had the melody and we needed to be heard over the entire rest of the orchestra. And the director stopped us playing and got kind of annoyed and was like, "Cellos, what are you doing? You're playing too loud. Violins have the melody right now." And it was just like, excuse me? I was like, you know, very politely, like, you know, actually I think we do. I think they have counterpoint. And he's like, no, you don't have melody right now. You need to be quiet. And the first violinist then spoke up and was like, "No, I've played this song before. Violins have counterpoint right now. We don't have melody." And the instructor was like, "I'm the instructor. Like, I'm telling you that this is melody." Okay, all right, sure. Cello section, we played quieter. Right, nice and quiet that day. The next day, the very next day in orchestra, we're playing the same damn song. Cellos are playing quietly now because we've been told that what we have is not melody. And the instructor stops and goes, "Cellos, why aren't you playing louder? You have melody." And I don't even think I came up with a response because I just couldn't believe it. It's like, are you kidding me? Yesterday, we had to spend 15 minutes debating and trying to convince you that you were wrong, that cellos do have melody. And today you're like magically like nothing happened. You're mad at us for doing what you told us to do yesterday. Oh, that instructor was frustrating. I don't think he was very good at all, but oh well. Thankfully the actual orchestra members that, you know, played with were nice. Sorry, that was not a very good story. I'm just still salty and can't get over that. I really need to get over that. That's not a useful memory to keep. Alright, remembering to split. Oh, gold split. Again, this is the easiest split for me to gold just because I never remember to split it. So it just has a lot fewer reps on it than the other ones do. Oh, I'm missing your messages, Juice. Music is definitely your strength. You love composition. It is fun. Oh my goodness. Probably gonna go to college for music theory. Oh, nice. Yeah, then in that case, theory is incredibly useful to know. Very good point. Oh man. Yeah, definitely casual orchestra is a lot harder, I think, as an adult than it was just both in college and in high school. I've got a friend of mine who plays piano, so sometimes we'll do duets, but that's been a thing that, again, pandemic year, maybe not the best idea. We kind of are in the middle of trying to do something. I don't know if she's going to get back to me, but I recorded like me playing a cello part to something, and she's going to record herself playing piano, which is not nearly as cool as playing it together, but we'll see if that works. That's about as close as we could try to get. This year has been a lot of experimenting, I feel like, around, okay, well, we can't do this thing that we would normally do. How can we approximate it in the best way possible? So long distance recording is like the best we can do to approximate duets. It's been good on other things though. Like my brother and I used to always do co-op games when we were home together for the holidays. And this year I didn't go home for the holidays. So it was like, oh, but I want to play co-op games. And that's when I learned, you know, I was apparently behind. Yes, you can now play co-op games online with your siblings from across the country. So we started doing a lot more co-op games online via Steam, and that's been really, really fun to get to do. And it's nice because now we know we can do that all the time. Like, we don't have to just do that on the holidays. It's like, randomly in April, I can be like, hey, yo, do you want to play this game that we both like online? And they'll be like, sure. That's been kind of cool. There's one that came out that everyone's been talking about. I think it's like It Just Takes Two, where it takes two. I'll need to see if he's interested in that one. The only downside is that my brother and I definitely have different preferred games. Like, I'm very much platforming, puzzle, like the clue solving type thing, exploration. He's much more around like action, adventure, RPG, tactical stuff. So like we do not have the same taste in games pretty much whatsoever. But the good news is we both like games in general enough that we don't mind branching outside of our categories, at least a little bit. It's like we're currently playing, I'm gonna blank on the name. It's not Warzone. It starts with W. It's a compound word. It's a Tom Clancy game. I don't know. I'm not going to be able to remember it. For some reason, I can't remember the name of this game. But It's not my game because it's all about like it's open world setup, so it's like what does it remind me of? It reminds me a lot of Far Cry, like that series, where there's a bunch of different optional objectives, a bunch of different towns, city areas to explore, outposts, mini objectives at each outpost, and it's very much like here are guns, use the guns. And I'm not really into shooting or that type of exploration, but hey, it's fun to play games with him, and it's been interesting just to try to learn something that's outside of my genre anyway, so it's been kind of cool. But most of how that game works is we set up to siege the enemy base, and I'm in charge of taking out one guy, and he's got to take out everyone else. And I'll help, you know, if I can, but yeah. It's good that we're doing it co-op. Oh, man. Oh, sorry, I missed that. Bad orchestra stories? Yeah, I have more, but I won't just keep ranting about High School Orchestra for the rest of the stream. Tom Clancy's? Ooh. Yeah, I can't remember the name though. It's not the word war. Like war and zone are not the right words, but compound word starts with a W. Oh, I took damage. Sad face. That was a fast Bowser fight though. That felt like weirdly short. I'm like seriously trying to remember the name of this game right now and just can't. I don't know why I'm incapable of thinking of the word that the game is called, but nope. Not gonna happen. I think the only reason we got to that one... Oh, you only played Xbox 360 games, so IDK? Yeah, I'm not gonna come up with it on stream. I think the reason we ended up doing that one is because he knows I'm not really into that genre, but we played a game called A Way Out. Pretty sure I'm getting the name of that one right. It's like this prison escape game that's co-op, and it's really good. Like, would highly recommend it. But later on, there's a part where it does become more of a shooting game. It's over, like, third person, it's not first person. And you can pick your weapon. It's not too long because the game is pretty varied in all of its different sections. But clearly I enjoyed that game. And so I think he saw that and was like, so you do play shooting games. Decided to recommend this one. I think the other reason is his friends weren't playing it as much anymore. And he figured if I played it with him, then he'd at least have someone to play with. So, you know what? Sure, I can do that. Whee! Dude, this is a pretty good level. Like, I got the fast blocks in the middle. I didn't die to the bloopers. Like, not bad at all. You've talked about this game for the third time. A Way Out? It's good! It's a good game! And also, there's a pandemic. I don't do too much anymore. I don't have as many stories as I normally would. I gotta recycle a little bit. Oh man. But the game is really fun, not gonna lie. So it's one that I keep thinking of because of how well I think it was done. And the fact that each of the sections never felt like they overstayed their welcome. Like there was never a section where I'm like, oh my goodness, we're still doing this. Like, you did the thing and then you moved on and it was great. Alright, drift course time. I haven't played Mario Kart in forever. That should be on my list of games to play again. When I first moved to Houston, so I moved from the Seattle area to Houston when I was in middle school. Not by choice. That was Dad's job, you know, very much out of my control. But that first summer, I had no friends because I hadn't met anyone. Like, obviously, when you first move to a new place, there's only so much you can do to make friends. We did, like, various camps for, like, tennis and things like that to try to get us out of the house, but they were all big age ranges, so I didn't really find any friends until maybe I started school, and even then took a little while. Oh, that was a split. I almost missed my split there. But yeah, so, of course, instead of hanging out with friends cringe. Fox, you think everything is cringe? What things do you not think are cringe? I'm legitimately curious now. I didn't really have friends, so I turned to video games. And for some reason, the video game that I was into at the time was Mario Kart Double Dash, which is just still one of my favorite games. I'm pretty sure just because of like the nostalgia of playing it that summer. IDK myself, like just you. You are the only non-cringe thing in the entire universe. I mean, that's a fair worldview. Like, you know what? You gotta do what works for you. But I played Double Dash so much that summer because usually when we were growing up, my mom would put like restrictions on screen time. That was like a pretty common thing to do. And the trade-off was if you had to exercise or go play for an equal amount of time to the time that you spent playing video games. And that was fine in Washington where it wasn't 100 degrees in the summer, but once we moved to Houston, you know, poor Seattle kids were shoot. I want the safety mushroom. I don't trust myself on this level at all anymore. Poor little Northwest kids, Pacific Northwest here. We were not used to any sort of temperature like that. Oh my goodness, I forgot you can hit those things on chain chomps. Glad I got my safety mushroom. And so we really couldn't play around too much without like overheating and dying. So my mom loosened up the restriction for that summer, also because we had no friends, so that we could just play as many video games as we wanted. About And oh man, that's why I played just so much of that one game. Oh yeah, well, hello people. Hello. See, oh, Sierra, I need to figure out how to pronounce your name. CRA8900. Hello. Good to see you. And then Hayden 10 appreciate the good luck. Oh man. But so that one summer, just got as many video games as I wanted. This is before I had really other obligations, and I also conveniently mostly had the TV to myself because my brother found out that there were kids in the same cul-de-sac, like our neighbors, who were the same age as him. So he immediately had friends to go do things with. I did not. So I very much just stayed upstairs playing Mario Kart Double Dash like all summer long. And it got to the point where like I did 100% that game, beat all the mirror modes, everything. I hate Daisy's Cruise. That is my least favorite course ever. But man, just spending that much time on the game, I could tell you every single course and every single cup in order, hum the theme music as I pretended to be driving around that course. It was a mess. But honestly, it worked out okay. Like, I was able to make friends that next school year, was able to figure things out, but I'm glad I had that game to get me through it all. That just is one of my favorite games as a result, though. But that's also the entire reason I have any skill. Oh, please die. Okay. In like Mario Kart whatsoever. It's just from playing that particular game over and over again. So I found out that it turns out if you play the same game for an entire summer, you get good at that game. And so I'm now like not bad at Mario Kart. I'm not a speedrunner of it. I could never beat like, you know, top 10 online or anything like that, but it's a fun game and I wish I played it a little bit more. It's nice. That's why I reference it every time I play 12 Force, because I think about that and it's like, oh yay. Like I remember once I felt like I understood how to drift around corners. Like I felt like I really made so much more, that game just was so much more fun. I was so proud of myself for learning that skill in that game. How are you gonna just Daisy Cruiser like that? I'm sorry if that's your favorite one, but just the layout of that was so obnoxious. Oh, it's that course. Like all the different angles, the different like water you could fall into, it was just a nightmare. I think it also usually came late in like the giant, what? Well, that was not what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to do a spin jump. That's the mistake there. It also, I think, came late in some of the longer cups, like the ones where you go through every single stage. And so you could be doing well and have gotten a bunch of first place and then get to that cup and have to reset the entire thing if you got too far behind. Why can I not play this level right now? So I think part of it was just the frustration of constantly getting there. Like, the course may be amazing, but I was bad at it and therefore I don't like it. I think that's probably a fair statement to say. Whee! Well, that was an interesting level. We made it through. Ooh, 13-2. 13-2 is just so slow. Oh, man. Top 10 to Mario Kart game would take years, I'm sure. Like, there's a couple times where I'll see someone speedrunning those, and just this specific tricks with, you know, lots of free-range movement seems really difficult. Like, there's hard tricks in this game, but it's in 2 dimensions, and only so many frames per second. There's only so far you can get misaligned before a trick starts, right? There's usually a pretty easy way to line up for something. Whereas Mario Kart, I assume that with all the extra dimensions and all the other ways you can be slightly off in terms of speed, angle, momentum, like drifting status, all of those things. Like, there's just so many more variables, it seems like, to choose from. I was watching, what game was it? I was watching a speedrun of Mario Golf Toadstool Tour the other day, and just the number of factors that the runner had to consider. They just like spent a solid 30, I don't know, probably 20 minutes of the run. I don't think it was quite 30, just listing out all of the different mechanics and like wind conditions and things like that that would affect the run and affect their ability to hit their shot. And it was just kind of mind-blowing to see how many tiny elements went into every single one of the shots that they hit. It was a cool run to watch. They also used Waluigi for most of it too, which I think was a favorite for GDQ. Unfortunately, I had to watch the VOD of it, so I didn't get to see chat at the same time because I'm sure chat would have just been exploding during that one. I've been on like a bit of a GDQ kicker lately, because I realized that I had written down all of the runs that I had missed. Damage right at the end. All the runs I had missed because, you know, I was sleeping during the actual event, or for whatever reason I didn't get a chance to watch live. And so I've been going through and like watching all of those speedruns, and it was kind of fun because there was a day where I just did nothing but watch GDQ VODs and do my own video game things and playing Link's Awakening DX. And it was just such a nice day. It felt like a random bonus GDQ day in the middle of the year, so that was pretty cool. It's not your favorite, you put it somewhere in the middle though. I always get that really weird track to play on it. Yeah, I know. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I think it doesn't deserve the amount of, oh, I need this. It doesn't deserve the amount of hate I throw its way. I'm pretty sure it's just saltiness over the fact that I never felt like I got that course. Like other courses, you get the hang of, you know where to do different turns and things like that. That one, I felt like I died, or I didn't die, but my attempts at getting the final medal challenge or whatever it was, died on that course much more often than any of the other ones. So I will fully admit that there is some salt in my evaluation of that course. And not just a little bit. Like someone lost the lid of the salt container when they were pouring out the salt for that particular course for me. We need to talk about parallel universes. Dude, that video is so amazing. That was such a mind-blowing like video of parallel stuff. One of like my favorite things about speedrunning was I started watching it early-ish in college. And so as I went through college, I was learning computer science. That's my major. That's what I studied. And it was so cool that as I learned certain like computer science concepts, I could then suddenly understand more of the speedrunning commentary. Like by the time I watched that Parallel Universes video, like it made sense. Which sounds stupid, but like it was one of those things where like I could see how they would have structured the code in order to make that the case. And I'm sure that you don't need a computer science degree to do that, right? There's the famous, imagine a bus at a bus station or whatever for frame rules in the original Mario Brothers. But it's just cool to have a better understanding of like, if I were to try to copy that, I would have an idea of what implementation choices they made in order to make the game work that specific way. I don't know. Bowser hasn't jumped for me there in like the last 10 tries. I always stop there to see if Bowser jumps and he just hasn't. I don't understand. He's just being a bro, I guess. Like I feel like that was the case too. What was the recent one? It was a Legend of Zelda game. What's the super broken one? Is it Ocarina of Time? I think it's Ocarina of Time. There was a speedrun of that where like they did a new credits warp thing where basically started overwriting memory using Link's angle and what item he was holding. It was so interesting to watch chat on that one because the explanation I think was well done, but there were so many concepts in it that like I'm sure it's hard to keep up with. But having the computer science background made me feel like such a pro because it's like, oh, I get what they mean when they're talking about pointers. Like I know what a pointer is. I don't know. It's just that little bonus of like, hey, wait, I get this. I understand this. This thing I learned about, I can use it right now. Am I using it for like any of my job-related skills that I trained in it for? No, I'm using it to understand a specific mechanic in a specific speedrun of a specific game. But still, I used it today. I used it for something. That's like, I took Spanish in high school and a little bit in college to the point where like I know a decent number of words. If I need to communicate something, I can probably get my point across. I can probably understand if someone else needs to tell me something, but you're gonna have to use small words because we're not gonna use the big ones. I rarely ever use that. Like it almost never comes up. When I was living in Texas, there were a couple more times where maybe it came up. And actually in college, I got to work with someone who worked at the school where I just sort of helped her with English. We just would have conversations in English once a week as a way for her to practice. And that was really nice. She was super sweet. But the only time I've actually used it is someone was trying to deliver Panera bread to my house and they couldn't find it. And I realized while we were on the phone that my Spanish, for once, my Spanish was probably better than their English. Not by much, but just enough that I was able to switch the conversation over to Spanish and use just enough words to communicate like, I'll come outside and meet you. I was so proud of this. I called my mom. I like texted my friends who was in Spanish with me and like, it's so stupid, but at least being able to use it once just felt really nice. Plus, it also just, oh my goodness, I'm dead. This level. It also just felt nice to like be able to bridge that communication gap. Like that's part of the reason that you can take a language. It's not just to learn it, it's to be able to communicate with someone else. And so often as a native English speaker who really doesn't speak another language, everyone else has to adjust to me. Everyone else has to switch over and speak English so that I can understand. And so the fact that I could, for once in my life, switch to accommodate someone else, that felt so nice. Like just a little tiny victory there. It made me feel like, oh, hey, I can help too. I'm not just a English only person most of the time. It was a rough conversation still, but I got my Panera bread. They got their delivery done. Everything was good in the world. Oh man, that's what college degrees are for. Fair enough. Cynical, but fair enough. To be fair, like my actual job, I'm not a programmer, so I use very little of all of the different like obscure things that I learned. Like we learned a ton about like parallelization and AI and hill climbing algorithms and searching algorithms. You learn so much about searching algorithms. No one ever uses searching algorithms. You just borrow the one that's already implemented. Why does everyone need to know these? But yeah, my job doesn't require any of that. I work as a PM, which means that I sort of help translate between computer sciencey things and normal people things. That's like a decent chunk of my job. I like it though. It's a cool thing to do. And it works that I can speak both technical language and understand the framework we're using and the limitations of it and why this particular layout doesn't work with this particular base class. And at the same time be able to talk to design people about like, hey, here's what the actual human trying to interact with this is trying to do. Like ignoring all of the technical requirements of why this is this way. Like what is the actual person trying to accomplish here? Ooh, and I didn't slow down the note blocks. That was damageless in the second half. I usually take damage there. Not that that's a huge time loss, it's 0.5 seconds, but still, I'll take that. We're technically behind right now. Oh man. And for anyone who doesn't know, my time save is very heavily in worlds 17 and 18 on this particular set of splits, so I'm not very worried at all about being behind right now. My world 18 and the world record was an absolute disaster. It was entertaining in hindsight, although extremely stressful during the run itself. Oh my goodness. I did practice World 18 before stream today though, so I'm hopeful that if we can make it back there, it'll look a little bit better than last time. Mushroom. Oh man. My current watching things kick is I've gotten way too much into Five Nights at Freddy's again. Like, I like to have YouTube videos or Twitch streams on a lot of the time during the day. Like, not so much when I'm working, and occasionally I'll make exceptions while I'm at work. But most of the time after work, like if I'm practicing this game, I'm just doing individual levels or I'm doing just practice runs of things, I like to have something else happening. When I'm streaming, it's mostly like it's chat. Chat is there. Chat is happening. And then I'm talking the whole time, so there's a thing there too. But off stream, I'll usually be watching some YouTube video or some Twitch stream. Now the trick is you've got to find one where you don't have to be looking at the screen the entire time. Right? There are some games that just do not work for that mindset, that mode. But horror games, surprisingly, tend to work pretty well for this, where horror games are a lot of spooky atmosphere, and then something happens really quickly, and then back to spooky atmosphere. So as long as you kind of know when that thing is going to happen, you can make sure to just look up when it happens and ignore the rest of the video. Or for me, it helps protect me from some of the really bad jump scares, because I'm pretty much a wimp when it comes to jump scares. But Five Nights at Freddy's, like, there's just so much there. So I've been watching, like, Daco's videos of like a bunch of different fan games, and I'm pretty sure it's a never-ending list of videos. Like there's just more and more videos that exist every time I look at these playlists. But it's been nice because it gives me something there. Like I definitely fall in the trap of if I can't find that type of video or that type of stream to practice to, sometimes I just don't practice. It's like if you've ever gotten stuck trying to choose the right song to like work out to or to do something to, and then it takes you like half an hour to find the right song, and so you just don't start doing the other thing for half an hour, like for homework or whatever. Like that's the trap I get into with finding the right either Twitch stream or YouTube video to practice this game too. Like if I can't do it, sometimes I just like won't start practice for half an hour or so, which is not really the goal. Like I want to be practicing, but occasionally I'll run out, like where it feels like the internet should be endless, but I feel like I've run out of content and like the specific playlist I'm at runs empty. So the fact that I've now found another one that's just like this one guy doing a ton of Five Nights at Freddy's stuff, which are again pretty solid games to practice to. Feeling good about that. So hopefully I'll do more practice this week now that I've got that set up. And the super slow auto-scroller's done. Thank goodness. Ah, that level is just not fun. There we go. Alright, 30 seconds, not too bad. Time for World 15 though. 15-1 always scares me. Let's have tea. That sounds like a good idea. I made tea. Reminder that we've been going for over an hour, by the way, so if you have not yet stretched or had a sip of water or something, this is a good reminder, a good point in the stream to stretch, stay hydrated, all of those sorts of good things. Oh. The internet is endless, but I'll never want to watch 99.999% of it. That's also true. That's the other trick. It's like YouTube will give me an infinite number of video recommendations, but it's not necessarily good ones. The other thing I have that's a problem with YouTube's recommendation algorithm is it's hard to tell it, like, hey, this is a type of video I like, but only at certain times. Like there's some times where I don't want my brain to be on. Like I'm tired, it's been a long day, my brain deserves a break. That's when I'm gonna watch stuff like 5-minute crafts, which are really, really bad crafting ideas. Like you should not make 99.9% of those crafts. But they have nice music and it's like just pretty colors on your screen and everything, so you can kind of ignore that and just zone out. Or like Vines. When Vines were a thing, Vine compilations were the absolute best. Turn my brain off and don't worry about whatever I'm worrying about thing. But I don't want those all the time, because if I'm practicing like Vines, you cannot multitask with Vines. They're too condensed, they're too short, you miss too much of it. So it's like, I wish I could sort of hint to YouTube, like, no, right now I want to watch this type of thing. Like, show me videos similar to this one that I've watched before. The other one is like, one of the ways I've been practicing is by playing Pump It Up, which is a dance game like DDR. And there's a couple people who have the step charts up on the internet, so I can go watch them on YouTube whenever. And then sort of just dance along to them in my house. I wish arcades were open. I could like try to go do it in person and for realsies and actually see if I'm hitting any of the notes. But until then, you know, I gotta make do with what I've got. But the problem is I'll do those for like 30 minutes to exercise, and then YouTube for the next few days is like, did you want to watch these videos? And it's like, I'm not exercising right now, YouTube. I don't need this right now. This isn't the right time for that. Like, I do like that song. You're correct that that is a video I would enjoy, but not right now. This isn't the time of day for that. So, oh well. I'm sure if like, one of the other things that's interesting about YouTube for me is that I mostly watch it on my TV, using the TV's like built-in smart TV whatever app, which mostly works. But it doesn't really let you create or save playlists of videos, and so if I see a video that I'd like to watch but not right now, like I see one that's like, oh, this would be perfect while I'm exercising, this would be perfect while I'm practicing Mario Maker, I can't like save it for later as easily as I'm sure you could on real computer, right? If I'm actually on a browser for a version of it. So, oh well, but that's definitely like a first world problem. Oh no, my smart TV that lets me watch infinite YouTube videos doesn't support the classification system that I wish it had for those YouTube videos. For some reason, I tried to tail flutter with the spin jump button. It's been a day. Okay. There we go. Nice and safe Bowser fight. I keep calling them, I know they're Bowser Jr. fights. I just keep saying Bowser fights. It's just shorter. Like, Junior adds a whole bunch of extra syllables that you don't really need. Plus, honestly, I think most of the Bowser Jr. fights are harder than the Bowser ones. I'm trying to think if there's like a Bowser fight that I actually think is harder than a Bowser Jr. fight. I think you could make an argument that 12-2's Bowser fight, the one with the Koopa Clown car, is one of the more difficult ones. I guess 16-4 is probably the best argument for a Bowser fight actually being hard. But so many of the Bowser fights in this game just sort of exist. Like, there's not too much to them. You can lose time for sure. What was that pattern? I messed up my strat, but that's okay, we didn't die. Or will we? Thank you, jump button. Thank you, jump button. Okay. Ooh. Like, most of the Bowser fights are pretty straightforward. Like, they don't feel like an obstacle as much as some of the Bowser Jr. fights do. Like, I'm much more worried about dying on that particular Bowser Jr. fight than I am on most of the Bowser fights. Again, 16-4 probably being the best argument to the contrary, because if you even take damage on that one, you sort of have to go back and reset a bit to get the Fire Flower. And that's a pretty frustrating time loss. But for the most part, like, Bowser fights are mostly either skippable, and so we skip them because of course, or they're just, you know, spam fireballs, but here's the backup fire flowers and you're probably safe anyway. Like, it's pretty easy to dodge whatever he's up to. Whenever I load this particular level in, part of me is always like, do it. Do the chain chomp skip. Do it. And then the other part of me is like, please don't. You actually would like to finish this run. I'll look this time and see how much time loss it is, but it is a lot if you miss the chain chomp skip, unfortunately. So let's see, timer's at 470. That's the number I'm looking to compare to. I can't remember if you lose a minute. I think it's like 30 seconds, but that is a lot for a death. We'll find out. We're at 70 on the timer for entering this section. We just need to look for what time it is when we get to the section with the chain chomps. Whee! Partially just because I'm curious how much time this saves. Like, I'm not gonna go for it this time, because I don't practice it, and so I don't get it very often anymore. I used to practice it more and be reasonably consistent, but in my 3-death run, I lost a lot of time to this one. Okay, so about 35-45 seconds once you add in the respawn time as well. Because we were at 70, we're at 30 by the next section, but you know, obviously save time with that, so yeah, something around there. Sad. This is like, as soon as I get a deathless run of this game, I'm going to start to add back in some of the other strats. Obviously deathless is a little ways off because, you know, clearly I'm not there yet. But that's one of the first strats I want to add back in, just because it looks so darn cool. It's reasonably consistent if you've practiced it. And it saves like, you know, 35 seconds. Or 30 seconds. Oh, that was a super early split. Oops. Yeah. Oh, sorry. In terms of how much time it actually saves, probably only like 5 seconds. It's just you lose 30 if you miss it. Oh, man. That's one of the struggles with some of those platform scrollers is like the time that you save is like 3 to 7 seconds. And the time you lose is like 30 seconds to a minute. And so that's why so many of those tricks in particular are the ones that are not being done as part of the run right now. Like the only one like that I actually include is the one on 2-4. And that's because it only saves like 7 seconds and it loses 30, similar to an auto-scroller because of how long the stupid P-switch wait is at the start of that level. But it's on 2-4, so it's easy to reset if I miss it, so I feel like that one's worth it. Gotta get off to a good start. Oh, dang it, I gotta wait for this next cycle. There it is. Oh, okay. Man, donut blocks. Just not really my best friends, but that's okay. Yay! I've gotten a lot better at that ending donut block sequence, though. I used to miss that one a lot and have to do a recovery off of those 2 looping donut blocks. And that recovery is so obnoxious because you can go on an early cycle that saves time, but it's really easy to miss that early cycle and then you're just sort of screwed. Because then you have to try to catch the later cycle, but the later cycle is hard to hit if you're not set up for it. And like, oh my goodness. This game is fun. Fair enough? Yeah. I feel like right now what I'm aiming for in this game is, one, just to be faster. I would like to be faster at this game. But deathless would be my biggest goal. Like, I would really love to get a deathless run, and I'm not going to, like, reset for it. I'm not going to sit here and, like, oh, I died, back to World 1. Because, obviously, you can still make a lot of progress without dying 0 times in this game right now. Deaths can be very short. But that would be, like, the next big milestone, I think, for me. Or sub 150, but, like, that's a... I think that is deathless. I think those are kind of the same thing. And it'd be... Like, that'd just be a cool milestone, and then from there, I think that's when I start to look at adding in riskier strats, because then there's just less time to save overall. A lot of my time save right now will be, oh, here's the world I died in a bunch last time, so here's where my time save is. Like, for example, I have time save in World 16, because I died on 16-2, and possibly 16-3 last time I played this. So, or not last time I played this, in the world record one. So, once those, like, freebie time saves are gone, because there's no deaths in the run, that's when I think it'll be interesting to add back in some of those like crazier strategies that are very dangerous but look really cool and really make the run more interesting. So we'll see. Maybe you'll learn this game in the background of your other speedrun projects if you have time. One of the nice things, this is an easier game to learn in the background because it is such a distinct level structure. Like practicing this game is really easy compared to other ones. Every level's fully independent, so you can get good at a level and then just you're good at that level. You don't have to worry about, oh, but what if I come in from this level with this power up? Like, nope, you're just good. It's pretty straightforward. Like, are you on this level? Cool. Just do the strategy that you want to for this level and that's it. Plus with the built-in, like, practice mode, that's another thing that really helps. Yeah, I got this. Where you can just create your own practice levels or practice specific parts of the level, reset to the trick that you were on. Like, there is so much that just makes this game easy to get into and get started with. The thing that makes it hard is the fact that there's 88 levels in the shortest any percent category, and that's the one I'm running. And as you can see, 2 hours is your target time, and that's after you've learned every single level. If you haven't learned every single level, you're probably looking at 2:30 if you've at least tried them, 4 to 6 hours if you haven't. Like, it's just, it can get long. We don't really have short categories with this level set, unfortunately. And there really aren't a lot of good short categories to include. We've talked about doing world by world before, but not really much to do there. Like, that's a subs category of this one, so I don't think we're gonna end up including that. Oh, I almost got both of those. It's like possible to get through those sections at the top without slowing down, but it's pretty precise, unfortunately. And it's not one of my better particular tricks in the game, but thankfully it doesn't lose a ton of time if you miss it either. All right, I did that particular bomb drop super slowly because I missed it the other day when I was practicing, and I ended up completely missing the bomb and having to go around to get another one, which is super duper slow. Okay. I actually have my Shelma still at this point, which I haven't for like the last 3 times I've gotten to this Bowser fight. So that makes that really fast and safe, thankfully. All right, split time. Yeah, as I mentioned, I died on 16 before, so there's some time saved just right there. Oh, and a gold split, but that might have been... I don't know if I missed up the last split. Oh, either way, gold split. 1.9 seconds. It was a good clean world, or 16.4. I messed up on 16.1, but that 16.4 was pretty close to what I would expect to be optimal for my route, so not bad at all. 18.8. I love Mario Maker. 18.8 is an adventure. I need to maybe try it with the new strats. Oh, Mario Maker is such fun. Oh wait, hi, sorry I didn't realize. Hi D3GJ, good to see you. You were the same color as Palanxi. For a second I didn't realize you were a new person, but hi, welcome. Alright, need to do just some basic jumping. No, please get up here. Let's go. Oh, man, I did not patient. I need to have patiented there. Well, we'll try this again. Well, after those conveyors, would it be possible to cancel your ground pound? Is the game down to let you? It actually does, and that actually was a mistake. I am supposed to cancel my ground pound there, so definitely blushing a bit that you caught that I screwed that section up, but it's not that much of a time loss compared to some of the other ways you can mess that level up. So 100% I messed up there. You are supposed to ground pound cancel out of that, and I did not. But good eye. Very sharp watching there. Oh, man. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. We finished this, though. Nice, yeah. I mean, that's honestly just cool, though. Like, this game is so fun, and there are so many small things. Like, I was definitely afraid for a while to like run it and to stream and have people watch it because like Mario is a game where people can recognize your mistakes, right? In general. Like obviously I'm not supposed to die. That's a pretty clear one. But I definitely can't pretend it's RNG manipulation or like a death warp or anything. And a lot of other small things, it's like people who've played Mario or speedrun Mario can definitely notice some of those mistakes that you make as part of the run. But you know what? Everyone makes mistakes. I got over it. This run is fun. Let's do it anyway. And it's cool to see just like how many small details there can be. Like some levels are super straightforward and it's just like, yeah, just don't mess up and you'll be fine. Like 1-3, pretty free world records high. Other ones, it's like every single jump is like some sort of small optimization if you want to get a really good time on that level. So it's a fun one for that. Okay, I gotta count, gonna be quiet. Oh, I counted correctly. All right, we're in there. Sorry. Like I count a lot during this run. You heard me counting on the last level even. That particular bomb flash counting section, I can only do if I'm quiet. I don't know why I can't count that one out loud. Counting out loud makes it like 20 times more likely that I'll miss that particular bomb timing. I don't know what it is about that level. Oh my goodness. Oh, you've run New Super Mario Brothers too and you're involved in other NSMB communities, so you have some experience. That makes sense. I mean, you did know what a ground pound cancel was, which already puts you in like the top echelon of Mario Maker, right? A lot of people don't even know that that's a thing, but that also makes me feel a little bit better about you spotting that one. But again, you're absolutely right. Okay. Funnily enough, like the world record or the IL for that doesn't have that trick, but it's because the world record I did before I knew you could ground pound and skip time on those conveyor belts anyway. So the world record just is slow. Like you can definitely, that's one of the ILs that has just a free second of time save. Technically it's a free 45 out of 60 frames of time save, I think, when I measured it out. Where if you get that particular conveyor belt section, you just save time over the strat I used, but that's another one of the levels on my to-do list to go back to see if I can spruce that up and make it just a little bit faster. Oh my goodness. Panic moment. Not supposed to fall off of that. This is why we kept the mushroom. Oh, well. Yeah, it's cool. It's impossible to avoid mistakes. It is. Like some ILs you can get absolutely perfectly. And one of the things I really struggled with when I was starting to run this game was being okay with mistakes. Because I kind of had, for some reason, gotten in my head that like, oh, you want to do it perfectly. Like, I want to do this level perfectly. And so actually when I started speedrunning this game, I only did certain levels that I knew I had done perfectly, like where I could tell that I had done it perfectly. Funnily enough, some of those I hadn't done perfectly because stars are fast. But like I did 1-3, I did 3-2, I did 4-1. All of those levels are just don't run into anything, and you're fine. There's no conveyor belts, there's no wall jumps, there's no ground pounds, there's no alternate tech that lets you speed up or slow down the level. Those are the ones where everyone is tied at first place because they are pretty straightforward to tie. Only like when I really started pushing myself and going like, you know what, just start to practice the levels. It's okay if you don't perfect them, at least practice them. That's when I started to make real progress on the game of like, yeah, that wasn't a perfect 16-4, but you know what? I know a strategy for it now. I've got something I can do. We're gonna wait for the second Goomba because I don't think I timed that very well. Oh, I don't need that POW though because I have my mushroom, right. I'm so used to grabbing that POW, and if you do like the normal jump, you're fine, but you don't need it if you're large Mario, so it's okay. Polonxi, don't die, I'll BRB. Will do my best. Classic Polonxi advice, don't die. To be fair, it's correct advice, just much harder done than said. Much easier said than done. That's the correct way to set that particular phrase up. There's the phrase. Okay, wait, I practiced this. Can I get the jump? Probably not. Nope, okay. You can get on top of that first ice section early by jumping off of the note blocks in just the right way. And it's not that hard to get, but note blocks are just kind of iffy. So I don't usually get it, but thankfully the backup is just to go under the way you normally would have, so it's pretty free to just try that, so why not? Oh man, yeah, mentality for a 2-hour game is very different from an IL, yes. I had the mentality problem on ILs too though, like I stressed out about doing 2-1 even, which is just a straightforward underwater level, because I was like, oh, but how do I know if I did it perfectly or optimally? And after a while, I think it really helped once I ran the full game too, where it's like, you know what, you won't know if that's optimal. Someone will always find a new trick. There's always some time save you didn't see. Just get it to a point where you think you've done the best that you can do. That was not how I normally do that section. Okay. I didn't die though, so we're good. Get it to a point where you feel good about it, you feel like you've gotten it where it can with your strats, and you'll start to notice, like, especially with the ILs, the saving grace is that they have those hard second boundaries where you're locked in by the timer. ILs, unlike what I'm running right now, are timed using the in-game timer, and the in-game timer only ticks once a second. And so no matter where you fall in that second, you get the same time. So some of the ILs end up being like, can you get the next second? Maybe I landed really late in the second boundary, so I don't think it's going to be possible. I'd have to save almost a full second. Other ones, it's like, all right, I'm 2 frames away. Let's keep going. Let's keep pushing to see if I can just do a little bit better this time around. And that, I think, helps create some of those boundaries in terms of, like, knowing when to stop and move on to the next thing. So that can be pretty good. Can also be a little bit frustrating when you do really well, but you still can't get to the next time boundary. Like that ice one that I was doing just a little bit back. I have gotten within 3 frames of the next second, and I cannot find the time to save to make it work. The only thing you can really do is optimize that note block jump at the beginning. You do have to go over the ice in order to get the IL for it. Or you don't have to, but the other route is harder and less good, so you just don't. But I just can't find those 3 frames. It feels like it should be doable. Don't know where they are. If they're hiding, I can't find them. Oh man. But yeah, running a 2-hour game is definitely more of a marathon. I can't imagine running anything longer than that. Like whenever I see someone running an 8-hour game, just one, how? That's so long to stay focused and stay in the zone and like really try to make sure you're doing things optimally. But 2, how do you stream that? Like, I think Super Mario Odyssey All Moons is around 8 hours, I want to say. And I don't know how you plan to stream around that. Because with mine, like, I already struggle to make sure I'm doing stream times that, like, make sense. Oh, I slowed down. That throws off the ending pattern. Walls, here we go. Because at a certain point, it's like if I can't keep going for another 2 hours... Oh, shoot. I want Yoshi back. I know that's technically the wrong move, but I want Yoshi back. This is why. I don't care how slow this is. I need the safety. I'm not replaying this level. Oh, shoot. I almost had to replay the level. If Bowser had jumped there at the end, I would have had to replay it. I made a complete 50-50. That was not a smart way to end that level. But hey, we're even going into World 18, and World 18 has time saves, so let's see what we can get done. Right, but like for mine, it's like I have to know in 2 hours while I still have the energy to finish a run. Otherwise, I have to stop. Like, how do you do 8 hours? That's a full stream on its own. Like, do you always just do one no reset run? Do you always just run for an hour to get a run going and then have to take what you can get? Like, what if you die 4 hours in and you're like, well, the run's dead, but what do you do for the other 4 hours of your stream at that point? Like, do you just play other categories? Like, how do you manage that? I have no idea. 2 hours is like long enough, I think. This game technically does have it. I think it's still 8-hour category, around 100%, but I think only Pelonxi has finished a run of it, and no one else has stated any intention to do that one. So yeah, there is a version of that maybe one day I could try if I was curious, but not right now. Oh, I got a smooth entry here. Look at how smooth my movement is. Oh shoot, I almost got killed anyway. Well, I shouldn't talk about my smooth movement before I get past all the thwomps, otherwise begging fate to come in and nip me there. Oh, come on. Get through this section, please. Alright. Oh, that was kind of slow cinder blocks. You can get through there without slowing down, but it's fine. Duck to avoid the Bowser Jr. shells. Get rid of the Hammer Brothers, and we're good to go. Get up to the pipe. There we go. You would just practice? Oh, makes sense, I guess. Why did I not think about that as an option? That would make a lot of sense, though, right? Practice the second half, practice something that you missed. There's always practice. Practice is always there for you. Oh man, you're planning to do the 602 in June? Man, good luck with that. Props to you for even going for that one. Dang. You'll do it, BRB. Yeah, good luck. 100% is long, and it's even longer if you've never played them before. Like, oh man, it's an interesting category, but oh boy, it's a scary one for sure. Like, I'm pretty sure if I were to do it, it'd take at least 12. I don't think I could hit 8 hours out of the gate. Like, oh man. But that world record is very like, there's definitely lots of optimization and time save to look for on that one. So feel free. This sure isn't a speedrun you do every day. Welcome, Lack of Fume. Yes, this is a bit of an obscure one, but we've got at least a couple people that run it. This is Mario Maker, but the set levels from Nintendo on specifically the 3DS version, so it's a ton of fun. The longest run you've ever done was 7 hours and you only did it once. Longest categories I've taken seriously at all is just under 3. Yeah, I would struggle so much with a 7-hour one. Like, I already have a lot of heartbreak if I lose a run in World 18. I can't imagine losing a run 7 hours in. Dude, slow boot spawn. Why were you taking so long? Oh man. The longest run of anything I've done was 6 hours, and that's when, oh yeah, I didn't make it in time. That's when I attempted a pacifist run of this category. And I finished it, but it took 6 hours, and I was thinking it would take like 4, so that was a very late night, but definitely a fun one. I still haven't put the video up on YouTube though, because going back through the 6 hour to try to like condense it down and make it watchable is something I have not yet gotten myself to do, but maybe that'll be next weekend. This weekend is still Easter, so I'm still just doing bunny things for the rest of today. All right, coin room. It's always a fun room. All right, it's just this one stretch at the bottom. That one stretch, I never quite know if I'm going to jump on top of it or if I'm going to jump after it disappears. And so it always freaks me out time-wise because it's like I need to be ready to react to either one, and that's one of the shorter like reaction times that I have to deal with. Like there's other things where I have to react to quickly, but most of those it's more of a set position type thing. Like there's tighter timing windows, but like I know where my marker is, and so as long as I use my marker correctly, I'm fine. Like technically the jump window for that is slower than the one for the other section, but that stretch just throws me off. That stretch is one of the scariest enemies in the game for me, because if you lose your boot in that section, it's so painful. This hurts so much. Oh man. Alright. Dodge the last few enemies, and we are out of that level. Yay! That's one of the World 18 levels that I can really mess up and like lose a ton of time in, so I'm always glad when that one's gone. Like, Magic Koopa's behaved, everything agreed with me today, so we're good to go. Now imagine a speedrun of the mode where it's uploaded levels on Super Expert. I mean, there is, right? Like, we actually, so this game has multiple speedrun categories. The one I do is Super Mario Challenge, which is a set number of levels, set levels from, oh, I want this though. Set levels from Nintendo. There are also all of the 100-man categories where the goal is to beat completely random user-generated levels. I run 0 of those, but those categories do exist. So like, if you're into the randomness, they're there. Ah, shoot, Bowser. Why? Now I have to personally kill you instead of just watching your ultimate demise. So sad. So yeah, this game is like such a weird mix where some of the categories, the Super Mario Challenge categories, are all very, very low RNG. There's only a few elements of RNG in the run. Very few of them have meaningful impact on the run. And then you have 100 Man, which is about as much RNG as you can like legally put into a speed run. Like, it's more RNG than I think a lot of randomizers have. And that's usually the bar for like an RNG filled adventure. It's so wild that both of these are in the same exact game. Like, that's the two category types you can run. You're either doing very little RNG, very traditional Mario platforming on Nintendo-made levels, or you're doing completely random user-generated whatever comes your way on 100 Man. So definitely a difference. Murder Bowser? I did try to murder Bowser. Is that from Fall Guys, Floxy? I just assume anything in that format is now from Fall Guys. I don't know for sure though. Oh man. Fall Guys is another one of those games that's pretty good to practice to because there is so much downtime in between runs. Like, a lot of the people that I like to watch are speedrunners. So for any of the like run levels in Fall Guys, or race levels I think they're called in Fall Guys, the speedrunner people finish them really fast. So there's a lot of times, like just a lot of downtime in the view streams where like you're between levels for the streamer and so you can practice instead levels on your own. It's a meme. Oh, is that the one with like the guard? And they're like, do you find it risible when I say that? I don't know. I feel like I've heard it before, but I'm like failing to place it while I'm in the middle of the run. Oh shoot, okay. So I practiced this level a whole bunch before stream and I'll be completely transparent, I'm 50-50 on it right now. I got it 3 in a row before I finished practicing it, moved on to other stuff, but like dang. I might focus a little bit here. Okay. That looked like a good bounce. Half of my attempts fail there if I don't get a good bounce off that first saw, so... Progress? Oh, that's the wrong side. Please bounce on the correct side of the saw. Alright, looking good. One more saw. And I didn't forget to bounce off of the bomb! I completely died on I think it's the world record. At the very least last week, sometime I died on that level because I just forgot to jump off of that last bomb. And if you don't jump off that last bomb and you jump off of Yoshi, you don't have enough height to get to the end. Like, complete brain fart moment last time I played this. So I'm glad that I remembered that crucial routing in like piece. Don't die. Oh, what was that? Oh, okay, I got it. Second try. Fall Guys is my first guess. My second guess is correct. I'll take that. Oh, man. I appreciate you reminding me not to die on that level, too, because that was a major one last time I ran this. Sad face. All right. I want this shell. Thank you. You don't need this shell for most of this level, because the shell does increase your swim speed, but this is an auto-scroller. It's just because, especially if the angry wigglers get out of hand, like, oh man, is this not a fun one to deal with? But, oh well. Hopefully we will see very few red angry underwater wigglers today. Instead, copy pasta bloopers. 12 of them. Because I counted one time. It also helps that the bloopers are copy-pasted in groups of 4, so they're actually really easy to count, because it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And 4 times 3 is 12. Fun math facts. Yay. Alright, I did it. That's the first one. Now I need the second one. Sorry, this is like not very cohesive commentary, but like, I really don't want to deal with angry red wigglers today, and so I just need to do the right thing. And we got it. Okay. Whew. That's the scariest part of the level. Now we're back to the calm, peaceful swimming music. Look at how much that seaweed is wiggling in the background. Like, the background seaweed reminds me of the wacky inflatable arm dude. I don't remember what the full official name of it is. But you know the one outside car dealerships? Like, that's what that background seaweed looks like. It's just very, very active. Alright. Bye-bye, Hammer Brothers. Are those the last Hammer Brothers in the run? I don't think there's any in 18.8. Or if there are, they might be in the one room we don't go in because we can skip it and that room is terrible, so works. Hi, Wigglers. Bye, Wigglers. Yay. All right. So now it's just down to the final level, We're actually, by the way, doing really, really good on time just because I died on World 18 last time I played this. But I'm trying to not think about it because I need to not mess up 18. We also have time save on 18.8 because I messed up the Bowser Jr. fight that bad last time. But that's okay too. Perhaps you can help us solve one of the greatest mysteries of the universe. Why is Super Mario Maker 3DS a game that exists? Capitalism is a pretty good answer. I don't know. My personal favorite reason is because Nintendo realized that they released a game about making Mario levels, assuming that people knew how to make Mario levels, and then realized that people did not, in fact, know how to make Mario levels. So not only did they release this game to teach players using all of these extra built-in levels about Mario mechanics and how to do Mario levels well, but they also then removed your ability to share your levels because they decided that that feature was a mistake. So my personal headcanon as to why they released this game is just to try to correct the mistakes of their past, but capitalism is, I think, the official correct answer. It does exist, though. It is a game. Oh, come on. You gotta get around this wall. I'm glad it exists, too, because I'm in the group that never owned a Wii U, and so missed out a lot of that generation. So while Nintendo is very much just capitalistizing right now in a lot of ways, I personally get to benefit from the fact that they're re-releasing the Wii U games like Mario Galaxy and such because I didn't get to play them. And so it's nice that I now have a way to, even though I know it's a naked cash grab, it benefits me. And so that's the good side of capitalism, I guess. Like, I at least got to play this game. I'm glad this game exists. This is what really got me into speedrunning. So, you know what? Yay. Thanks, Nintendo. Appreciate that your desire to make money has worked out well with my personal passions around speedrunning goals. Whee. Oh, that was pretty good to the end. You can look at the fire jets on the end and when they retreat to determine how optimally you did this room. You may be able to do it optimally enough to actually die there, but that's really, really rare. You have to be, like, so on point. I know wall jump is faster here, but I didn't practice it that way yet, so I have to fix it. Poloxy recently did a re-IL of this one with a couple things, and I didn't realize that that wall jump is faster than what I'm doing. But I haven't had time to go through and practice. Oh, I don't want to hit that saw right now. Practice doing it as a wall jump, so we're just going to take it safe. All right, but here's where we're not going to take it safe because I'm going to be dumb. We're going for the same Bowser Jr. strat that lost me 30 seconds last time. But, I got it this time. That's it. That's the whole strat. If you hit Bowser Jr. there, he stays low enough that you just jump back and forth between those platforms. And if you don't hit Bowser Jr. there, you have to chase him around the entire room with wall jumps, and it's awful. So, time's coming up soon. Just need to blow the entryway open, take my damage boost, and that's time. Yeah, that's how much time state I had in World 18. Dang. And it was a gold split by 5 seconds, which is just wild, but oh my goodness. So that feels really freaking good to get. Dang. Sorry, like I need my excitement to come back. I intentionally put away all of my thoughts about the timer for the last 3 minutes so that I wouldn't get too stressed out in World 18, and that's the best I've played World 18 on good pace, I think, ever. But now the nerves are coming back in full force, and like my fingers are actually shaking a little bit. Dang, oh my goodness. Sorry, catching up with chat. Best way to correct their mistake, delete all instances of Mario Maker? Yeah, fair. GG's. Thank you for the excitement. This is an actual 3DS. I am legit playing on a real 3DS. It is one with a capture card installed, so that's how I can get it to the screen, but real 3DS. So yeah, that's an improvement. 4 deaths is still not the lowest number of deaths I've had, but a lot of those were really short. Like it was deaths on 3-1. I can't believe this has a death on 3-1. Lols, I just left that in, I guess. Death on 3-1. It had a death at the beginning of another level. Like the deaths, thankfully, when they happened were short ones. And again, my previous record just was so bad on World 18 that thankfully that made me feel really chill coming into it. Because it's like, well, as long as I play okay on World 18, I should get record again. But this is like one of the largest improvements I've had in a while. Like I've definitely slowed down with my rate of improvement on this game as it's gotten more optimized, which, you know, makes sense. That's how games work. But dang, I wasn't thinking I'd do that much better today, but this is a pretty big step up. So 151. I think that means this is the first 151 as well. So that's kind of exciting. We're definitely getting closer to 150. 150 is like 100% or possible. Like we can definitely get this game below 150. Again, it may be a 0 death requirement, or at least a 1 death requirement, but very much closer. My sum of best is, of course, only a 149.21, so it's not like there's, I say, you really can't die and get below 150, I think, with the current strategy, current routing, and everything. Oh, man. Well, I know that the rest of my day is now going to be uploading this video, because heck yeah, I want this to be the record. Oh my goodness. I need to remember this time. A lot of times, I dual record. I record the stream, and then I record a version that's solely the gameplay for people who want to watch that way. And so I usually try to process both videos at the same time, and then YouTube hates me and just takes like 6 or 7 hours to upload both. So I need to remember to only do one video at a time, so it actually uploads today instead of tomorrow. Does everyone in this game do world splits, or do some people do level splits? Both. I was about to say Flonksy replied before I could, but Flonksy does level splits, I do world splits. Definitely runner preference. I used to do level splits, but it ended up stressing me out just trying to remember to split every single time. And it's a little bit, I think I do a better job of staying focused on the gameplay and not just the timer if I do world level splits. Disadvantages, there are some worlds where I'll be like, wait, what did I lose time to? Oh yeah, that one level where I died. I think that was it at least, and it can be a little bit hard to figure out what my exact mistakes were. When I get records like this afterwards, I do go back through and rewatch the entire run, usually at 2x speed, just because it takes a while. And I will mark down every single death just so I can be really clear on what my time saves are and what I should be practicing. So that if I constantly, you know, I get world record, but every time I get a PB, I die on 15-1, I'll go back and practice that one. So very much up to runner preference, but worlds has been working out well for me. The only problem is then, especially if I miss splitting on a world, like I miss splitting on world 11 a lot because the end of it is not an axe. And as dumb as that sounds, like that's enough of a reason for me to split or miss that split often. For those ones in particular, that can be a point of frustration. Then if I miss a world, I'm like really far off on like, well, how am I doing? But usually I can just sort of look over and be like, oh, I'm about ahead or behind. So works out well enough. Oh, there's the end of the credits. Nintendo is the author of this software for the purpose of copyright. All rights reserved. Dang, 2016. I keep forgetting that this came out that long ago. Oh, because I've only been speedrunning it for about a year, so. Well, oh shoot, the egg covers the timer. That's kind of sad. I made the new layout for the Easter, but I didn't realize the egg covered up the timer, which is kind of an important part to speedrun. Oh well, that's okay. Next week when I'm back, it'll be my normal theme because it's not Easter anymore. But yeah. Anyway, so thanks for being here, everyone. That was really cool. It's like, I know I don't sound as excited as I have in other times, and honestly, it's because I was trying so hard to use all those mental strategy things I was talking about earlier, so I didn't make my heart rate go too fast. But this was honestly a really good run of this game. 4 deaths, pretty short ones, still definitely room to improve, but getting past my PB by a minute when it's getting to the point where it's that close to my sum of best honestly feels amazing. So yeah, that'll be it for me for stream because I just want to get this uploaded. Thank you everyone for joining me and watching today. I do hope you have a great rest of your day, rest of your Easter, happy bunny day. Hope you see lots of bunnies today, and yeah, I'll be back next week, but thanks again for watching. Bye.